Okay, hi, this is Kerin Groves, and today we're meeting with John Kahn. John is going to tell us about his career path from beginning to present. And welcome, John. Glad to have you today.
It's nice to be here, Kerin. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure. So tell me about your first job. What was the first job you ever had?
The very first job,
Yes.
I drove a dump truck for a construction company.
And you were how old?
18.
18. Okay, just out of high school?
I was still in high school, but just getting ready to get out.
And you did that for how long?
6 months.
You graduated from the truck
I got
driving?
fired. No,
You,
I got fired.
you got fired because?
Well, I had to dump some gravel into a pit, and I was scared to death to back the truck up too far because I didn't want to go into the. So I dumped the gravel about 5 feet away from the pit. So that means I had to shovel it all in there. So the guy fired me.
Lesson learned, huh?
Yeah, I was just, working a construction job, and then ended up graduating from high school and went off to college for the summer. Went for 1 quarter and then left probably around August and went with a buddy of mine down to Myrtle Beach and became a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard for about a year and then came back home and decided that I was going to better find a better job, better find a way to get a better education since I had already had one shot at it and wasn't successful. The school and I decided it would be best if I left early. So
you were politely invited not to come back.
Yeah, well, we came to that conclusion together, I think.
It was a mutual decision.
Yeah, it was a mutual decision. So anyway, was working. I want to always be an architect. That's what I went to college for. And the reason I went out was because I couldn't pass chemistry. But anyway, I love to draw, I love to design. So my stepfather got me a job working for a friend of his at it was a company that had, it was a chain. It was like a Walmart or Kmart, something like that. And so I was doing store layouts for him. And they had just gotten in a brand new computer. It was an IBM computer. It was one of the very first ones. And the guy was telling me, he said, that's the future of where everybody's going to be. So I said, I got to figure out what I can do with that. He says, you need to go to a programming school. So I found a technical school where I went and got a degree, an associate's degree in computer science. And it was before it was called computer science. And then from there, I got a job working at the gas company as a computer operator. And then within 6 months, I got promoted to being a programmer and loved being a programmer because, again, it was designing stuff. It was using your mind to think about how to solve problems. And I had a passion for that. So that's what my career was all about, was really getting into the IT arena. And that's where I, over the years, eventually ended up working for Ross Perot at EDS. And there was a funny story about how I came to be able to work for him, because he was hiring nothing but military people at that time when I went to work for him. Most of the people were coming back from Vietnam, and he was hiring all of the military guys. But anyway, so I worked for him for 36 years, worked at EDS, then when we left from GM, after GM bought us, Perot left, started Pro Systems, went with him with Pro Systems, worked there for a little over 9 years, almost 10 years, and then left there. I had Ross kind of stepped down as the chairman. His son took over, and the company was taking a different direction, which I didn't really quite agree with. So a friend of mine that was still at EDS, the old EDS, met him for lunch one day, and he said, we got a position for you. We'd love to have you come. So he talked me into coming down to Dallas from Detroit, which wasn't a hard talk, and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So that's what got me to Dallas and finished my career at EDS.
And then, EDS, Electronic Data Systems.
Right, Electronic Data Systems, which was actually bought by Hewlett Packard, which was, I knew that was getting ready to be bought, and they had some layoffs coming, and I had to lay off a lot of people because I had gone from the programming area into the sales, which is another passion of mine now, sales. But anyway, when I left DDS, I decided that, I didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore. I advanced to a position of senior vice president in charge of the airline industry. And I just didn't like the politics and said I didn't want to get back into the corporate world. So I retired early.
You took an early buyout then?
Yeah, I took an early buyout, early retirement package.
At what age?
56. And played golf and fished and took a couple of trips with my son and wife for about a year, almost 18 months. Got bored and started looking for something else to do. Looked at a bunch of franchise opportunities, but when I started realizing how much money you needed to start those, I said, I can't afford to do that. It's too expensive. And that's when another friend of mine told me about direct sales. And I'd heard about direct sales and always been intrigued by it. It was one of the pyramid things. And I thought, there's really got to be something to this because, there's a lot of good companies, big companies out there that use direct sales as their vehicle to go to market, but they're not pyramids, they're not illegal. And I did a lot of research on it. So then I found out what the difference was and decided that maybe that would be the market where I would go. So I got into the direct sales industry and worked for a couple of different companies, got some experience. Found out very quickly it's not about making money with them as much as it's something that you have to have a passion for. And that's the only way you're really going to be successful in direct sales. Is whatever you're doing, if you're not passionate about it and having fun doing it, you're probably not going to make a lot of money. You're not going to be very successful at it.
So you've been doing that for how long now?
This will be my 16th year.
Okay. And sales was not what you were doing when you were in the computer industry. You were in more of a technical and management role.
Well, initially I started out, as just purely technician. As an operator, then became a programmer. From the programmer, I became a senior programmer, then an analyst, and then from there I went into management. Went back to college, got some business degrees. And started working in the management ranks, but still dabbled in the technical arena. I'm still management of technicians. And then I had an opportunity to get into the sales arena. Just when GM bought EDS and I went to Detroit, I had an opportunity to get into sales at that point. And so I was in the sales arena. Got some very personal, close contact with Ross Perot personally on a couple of big deals, and got to travel the world. And I love the sales. And then I started learning international sales, and that's what's fun. Learning how to sell to somebody in a different culture and a different language is a lot different than trying to sell here in the United States.
I'm sure there was a learning curve for you to do that.
Yeah. I took a lot of cultural classes before I went off. I remember the first major deal that I did overseas was the Pakistan International Airlines. So I was in Pakistan for 9 months, but I had to take some cultural lessons. It was the first time I had been exposed to a Muslim country. Being a Christian, that's an eye-opener. Learned what it meant to be a minority. Living in a country that looks down upon you as an individual. And yeah, you're there as a person trying to help them improve their state of life by helping their airline have better operations. So yeah, I learned a lot. So I've got a lot of friends in Europe, and then South Africa was another area that I fell in love with. A lot of people don't realize how beautiful South Africa is. And it's just a gorgeous country. The people are extremely nice and warm. But that was another big eye opener. When you talk about cultural differences, that's a country that's run by blacks and whites are the minority. And having gone through apartheid for so many years, and there was some dangerous areas in there that you had to be very careful of.
Puts a good perspective on the world in general.
Yeah, it does. And it's I really wish every person in the United States could at least spend 1 month out of the country in another country, just understanding the culture.
And you're still traveling in your pre-retirement years. You're how old now?
73.
And still not retired yet.
Oh, heck no. No way.
You got too much to do before you retire.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if retirement says to me, I'm giving up on being a productive resource in the world, and I can't do that. It's just not in me. Anytime I feel like I can do something, I have something of value.
Then you're mentoring other small business owners.
Yeah, when I have an opportunity, I don't do it as a career. I'm not putting it down as a business, but yeah, I don't mind helping people. I mean, I help a lot of people that are my competitors, literally.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, why not? There's enough business to go around.
And somebody helped you along the way. Because
exactly.
You mentioned that Ross Perot was only hiring military guys, and you were not out of the military. So somehow somebody opened the gate and let you in. Is this a pay it forward kind of a thing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a pay it forward kind of a thing. It could be. But I was the way I got into Perot, the way I got into the EDS was, first of all, I come from a family that's a lot of military. So I've been around the military mindset. So I know how they think. I know how they operate. I know the loyalty issues and the trust. But when I applied for a job at EDS, the people there were all going through what they called group interviews. So the people, your peers, you were being interviewed by a group of people, not just one person. And it wasn't an HR person. So it's your peers. And at the time, they said I had too much experience. I was too senior of a person for the position I was trying to come into. I just wanted to come to work for Perot. I learned a lot about him and I heard about him. I said, I'm going to end up working for this guy. So I intentionally sought him out, took a heck of a pay cut to do it. But anyway, at the time, they said I had too much experience and was too senior for them to hire. And so they turned me down. And the recruiter that got me the interview, said that he just heard from the guy that was making the decision. And I said, well, I'd like to call that guy and tell him I think he's making a wrong decision. And the recruiter, for whatever reason, said, well, go ahead. What do you got to lose? So I did. I called the guy. His name was, I'm not going to mention his name. His name was John as well. So anyway, when I called and asked for him, I just said, hey, I just have to tell you, I think you're making a huge mistake. If Ross Perot knew you were turning away talent because you already deemed that I had the talent more so than what you require, and I'm willing to come into a position that less pay than what I'm making now, just because I want to work for you. He had the same guys there that interviewed me sitting in the room. And he turned and looked at him and says, see this guy? He's got cojones, and what cojones he said, but it's cojones to tell me we made a bad decision. He said, anybody that can do that needs to work here. He said, you guys made the bad decision. You're hired, bud. Start Monday. That was it.
Wow, you were brave.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, if the recruiter hadn't said, go ahead, I probably would have just been spouting off, because I was upset and angry.
But what you really wanted was to be there. So you're willing to do.
Yeah, I did.
Willing to do whatever it takes to get another shot at it. And it worked.
And I wasn't doing it to try and get another shot at it. I was doing it to get even, to tell this. I wanted to tell this guy that his company is making a bad mistake. The Ross Perot would probably fire him from doing that. And then the guy that hired me, he and I became very close friends. And we've been friends for almost 45 years now.
And he knows that he made a good decision in hiring you after all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there was a period of time afterwards where he ended up working for me.
Oh, the
Which
tables
was
turned.
right. But I didn't make him go through an interview process like he made me go through.
You said that at some point you went back to school. After you dropped out of college, you went back to school. How old were you when you did that?
25. Yeah, I was about 25.
And you went back because at that time, now I have something that I know I need to learn, that I want to learn. I want to get the credential or the degree in. So it was going to college intentionally in a different way than, when you're 18, it's just, well, I got to do something. So I guess I'll go to college.
I got programming skills and I was doing that. But when I wanted to get into management, I knew I had to have some business skills and some business education. So that's when I went back and got a business degree.
And you had grown up, you'd matured a lot, and you knew what your deficits were, and you knew what you needed and wanted to learn. So you're coming back under different conditions.
Totally different.
You were ready. The second time around, you were ready.
Yeah, ready, hungry, and able.
So your advice at 73 to your 18-year-old self would be what?
Never stop learning. Constantly listening to audios. I've started getting into podcasts lately. Their podcasts are great because there's a lot of good information in podcasts. There's a lot of BS in podcasts too, but I mean, really, you got to be selective. Use your mind. Don't be so quick to take what people say as being absolute. Make up your own mind, make decisions, look at things, ask questions. Be inquisitive. Just be inquisitive.
So any regrets in looking back over your career path, which has been, you've done some zigging and zagging, any regrets?
Gosh, don't really regret. If I were to do it all over again, I'd probably do the same things. I mean, I feel that, where I'm at today, who I am, is based on the fact of what I've done in my life and the experiences I've had.
It's made you who you are.
Yeah, and to do something different would be making me a different person.
So don't sweat the mistakes. That's good advice for a younger person. Don't sweat the mistakes.
Well, you can't go back and fix them. And if you live in the past, you're not looking in the future. You're not able to, if you're not living in the present, to put yourself in a position to take advantage of the future. So quit looking in the past.
And you're still evolving. You're still working, and plan to keep working. You're not going to go sit in a recliner and watch TV all day anytime soon.
No, no, not at all.
You have big plans for your future, and you're still pouring into other people and active and engaged in the world. And that's much more than many 73-year-olds are doing. So I admire you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me coming from you.
Thank you.